Hey everyone, this is Matt, and in today's video, we will be going over another matchup here. This time against an Eldlich trap player. This match did go to 3 games, and uh, this one was in the EDOPro. But basically, I think someone on the Discord was talking about how, the deck profile we put out is no good against back row decks, right? Back row decks just shit on my deck or whatever, right? Anyway, we'll go over this replay showcasing this match that I won against a seemingly pretty good back row deck, I think. All right, so let's get started. All right, so right off the bat, I already have a really good opening. So at this point in the game, I did not know, what deck I was playing against, but all I know is in my hand I have Red Eyes Fusion and I have a Called by the Grave. So it doesn't matter what deck I'm against, this will go through, right? My Red Eyes Fusion, I will get my Dragoon. I don't think there's any way that they can deal with that. Second of all, first thing to notice is that I open Eternal Soul, Soul Servant, right? Eternal Soul and Soul Servant means that I can effectively end the turn with both Red Eyes Fusion, Dragoon. The Soul Servant can grab Dark Magical Circle, and Eternal Soul obviously pairs well with that. So, alright, so let's play on here. So I open Red Eyes, no Hand Trap, no Call by the Grave. So in this case, I decide to opt for the Upstart Goblin. It doesn't really matter what order you do it. Like, you could use the draw from Upstart Goblin first or the draw from Soul Servant first. Either way, it's going to be a draw 1. I just opt for the Upstart first. Okay. Alright, so I put Stack Circle on top of my deck. Alright, so after I looked at the top 3 cards on my deck, one of the cards was Solemn Judgment, right? Which is a really great card to have in your opening board because not only does it stop really problematic cards like Dark Ruler No More, Forbidden Droplet, Triple Tactics Talent, but also if they try to go into Access Code Talker, Solemn Judgment, Access Code Talker, Dunzo, right? So you'll see me draw it here. Oh, okay, sorry, that replay was a little quick, but here it is, Solemn Judgment, Eternal Soul. So right now I have 3 interruptions. I have Dragoon Negate, I have Eternal Soul with Circle Banish, and I have Solemn Judgment. Unfortunately, I would have liked to have Call by the Grave as a initial interruption. However, I need to leave a card in hand for Dragoon, and Call by the Grave is probably the least impactful negate as far as I know. All right, so let's see what my opponent does. This is actually seeing his hand. I wasn't obviously in real time. Wasn't seeing the. All right, so what did they set? So they set the Solemn cards. Okay, they held Gozen match here. That makes sense because he sees that I have a Dragoon, and Gozen match wouldn't make much sense. Solemn cards obviously do make a lot of sense. And then Imperial Order, always good against the Dark Magician deck. I swear, like 90% of the time we go against Imperial Order, we lose. Like, basically the only way through that is to negate it from activating in the first place or going into Dragoon via Anaconda and just ignoring it, right? And then we have 2 Eldlich traps, which, always good to pair together. So he held Torrential Tribute probably because he thought, well, I have no cards in hand, I have a Dragoon, what the hell is Torrential Tribute going to do to help in this situation? Whereas Conquistador here can pop Circle or Eternal Soul. So, alright, anyway. So he goes to end his turn, but end phase, I summon Dark Magician. I banish a random card, and I manage to snipe the Solemn Judgment. Okay, cool. Is there any particular reason why I went for that one? Well, I don't know. I feel like with back row decks, it really just depends. Like, it's hard to say exactly where you're supposed to set cards. Like, I feel like there's a stigma that like the best people tend to go for the middle cards. So maybe the side cards tend to be like really good. But then again, I don't know this player. Maybe he like plays mind games. But in general, don't always shotgun go for the middle card, because if they do put their middle card down as like their most important card, then they're kind of trolling. But if this is a back row deck player, like control player, he probably wouldn't do that. So in this case, like I would have stopped his Eldlich from coming out. Yeah, Solemn Judgment here is definitely a better banish target than Elixir. All right, let's continue on. All right, so I drew Summon Limit. Not super useful in this matchup, but it's good Dragoon discard fodder, especially since Call by the Grave may still come in handy. I don't know yet, right? I still don't know what their deck is. All I see is back row and Pot of Extravagance. Although a back row deck with Pot of Extravagance typically implies Eldlich, right? So I am suspecting at this point that he might be an Eldlich player. All right. So I make the Link Spider here because I want to be able to bring Dark Magician back from the grave during the battle phase to attack. So I get 1,000 more damage for having Link Spider, and bringing Dark Magician back will let me trigger Circle to banish another card, and then on main phase 2 I can link Dark Magician again to make I'm Duck, so that Dark Magician is in the grave, and then Dark Magician will then be in the graveyard for the opponent's following turn, where I can bring him back and banish again. All right, so I attack with Link Spider. He uses Elixir of Scarlet Sanguine. All right, so why do I not negate this? So in general, as Dragoon, like when you're playing Dragoon, I feel like this is my one negate. I guess I do have Solemn Judgment, but I feel like Solemn Judgment should be against a back row deck. It's more important to save for like a really powerful trap like Ice Dragon's Prison, right? Where it would be devastating if it went through. Whereas here, it's like, okay, I'm okay with him bringing out his Eldlich. Why? Because, well, first of all, I have Dark Magical Circle. If I banish the Eldlich, then he's super screwed. And if I don't use the Circle to banish it, Called by the Grave is amazing against Eldlich, right? If you get the Eldlich banished, yeah, there's not much to play. So negating Scarlet Sanguine usually not a good idea unless it's like a game ending or game if you don't negate, you're gonna either significantly lose control of the board, or if you do negate, like it'll allow you to OTK and finish them off, right? But otherwise, I would save my negate. All right, so let's see what we have here. So at this point, okay. At this point, I use Eternal Soul to try to bring Dark Magician in to negate, to banish the Eldlich, but he uses Conquistador, and I think, the right play here is to destroy a soul because the soul is a continuous trap. It technically negates the summon, and since he has Imperial Order on the field, which I don't know about, like from his perspective, like Dark Magical Circle isn't a threat for Conquistador to hit right now. That he's better off just holding Imperial Order, especially since he like from his perspective, if he uses, if I ever get to trigger Circle, he uses Imperial Order to negate it. If I Dragoon negate it, then he can then Solemn Strike my Dragoon, and Imperial Order is there to stay. However, what he doesn't know is that I have a Solemn Judgment. So let's see how this plays out. Alright, so at this point, yeah, so Eternal Soul kills Link Spider. At this point, I just go into main phase 2 and I use Dragoon's effect to pop all these because it deals damage to my opponents. Alright, cool. Alright, so I set Call by the Grave because Summon Limit is pretty pointless in this matchup. So this is discard fodder, and then Call by the Grave will obviously take out the Eldlich. So let's see what happens. So he sets his back row. He does set Goes and Match. In this case, he uses Goes and Match as discard fodder for his Eldlich effect because, there's no point in running Goes and Match against the Dark Magician deck or activating it. So he tries to revive Eldlich, and if he successfully does that, then he'll be at 3,500 attack, which can run over Dragoon. Luckily, I have Call by the Grave, which allows me to target the Eldlich to banish. But then he tries to use Imperial Order on me. So at this point, that the plan that he had to stop, I guess, Dark Magical Circle before is now being used for Imperial Order. So then I Dragoon negate. And then he uses Solemn Strike, and then I use Solemn Judgment. Because at this point, I feel like this is the best way to, this is the right time to use Judgment. Why? Because Imperial Order is super annoying, so I don't want to be locked out of spells, and this stops Solemn Strike, allow my negate to go through, and which will stop order, which will allow Call by the Grave to go through. So this is just like a crazy 5 chain links here. Uh, this is funny because like Dark Magician is a control deck, and you're up against another control deck, Eldlich Trap. Like I feel like these kinds of duels are really interesting because like 2 control players, it's like there's a lot of mind games going on. There's a lot of like back and forth and chaining and stuff. Um, yeah, just to like establish control over the board. And I feel like that playing against a combo deck like Tri Brigade or whatever is just way less interesting. Anyway, so at this point, 6 chain links. At this point, he's kind of really screwed because, yeah, he has Judgment, but Judgment can't really help him out here. Torrential Tribute does nothing against Dragoon, and I guess he set a Puaquero because maybe he just wants to like tank an attack or whatever. All right, so and then another Elixir. Okay. All right, so at this point, he's going to battle phase. Use Puaquero. So in this case, I don't bother negating it because I feel like these Eldlich cards are like big baits for negates. It's like they're just weak monsters that don't do anything on their own. Like there's no point negating this. All right, so I just go main phase 2s and I pop it. Okay, see what he does now. So at this point, the only thing he can do is try to summon Eldlich. Like second Torrential Tribute doesn't do anything against Dragoon, and yeah, in this case because I know that's because I know like he hasn't tried Ice Dragon's Prison before. I feel like these are safely not Ice Dragon's Prison. So I feel like given like how the card plays have been going, yeah, that this is the right time to negate. Like I would negate this Elixir because, um, yeah, it just seems like at this point it's the right time. Like these cards didn't save him from my attacks or do anything else, so yeah, I thought it was safe to use my negate here. I don't think there's an Ice Dragon's Prison waiting for me at this point. Alright, at this point he scoops. Yep, I mean I would too. Like with these 3 cards, yeah, nothing you can really do against a Dragoon. Alright, game 2. So in this, alright, ooh. So this is showing my opponent's perspective. So let's swap this. So side decking. Obviously, I removed the 3 summon limits because they're useless in this matchup, and I put in Harpies and double Cosmic Cyclone. Because back row deck, you want back row clear. And then I don't know what he side decked, but I am seeing some Inspector Borders. My dig guess is that Inspector Border was side decked because I don't think any back row deck would main deck Inspector Border because, like, let's say you lose a die roll and you go second, like, what the hell is opening Inspector Border going to do? Nothing. Like, your opponent's going to just freely establish their board. So my guess is that these were side decks for him. Yeah, so he chooses to play first, and his opening hand is really good. I get super screwed in this game. So set 3, summon Inspector Border. So this is a great closing because, like, Inspector Border negates all monster effects. It's a floodgate. Imperial Order negates all spell effects, and then as for like good measure backup, he has Punishment and Puaquero the Golden Land, which is just like more protection and like follow-ups, right? So he opens very strongly. Anyway, so my hand is all right. Like I have the Sky Striker Hornet drones, which so from my perspective, I'm like, okay, so I can definitely go into Dragoon. I have the monsters needed, but I need to kill this Inspector Border because he's stopping my monster effects from going off, right? So I can't even use Soul's Effect while Inspector Border is on the field. So basically what I have to do is like I have to play Hornet Drones, make Kagari, and once Kagari's on the field, then Inspector Border's ability effect will allow me to use one monster effect. At which point I can use Magician Souls to summon Dark Magician, attack Inspector Border, destroy it, and then in main phase 2 make Verdi Anaconda and then Dragoon, right? So that's assuming everything goes right, like that's what I would do, right? And that's what I try to do. So first I use Upstart Goblin and he immediately Imperial Orders, which okay, I mean that's fine. Like he knows he's against a Dark Magician deck. Like why would Um, it's like, why let any of my spells go through? Like, I guess he doesn't really have to hold this, but I don't know. It would have been 1,000 life points for him. But because this is a chain link and Hornet Drones is a quick play, I am able to chain it. So like, I'm sure he didn't expect me to have Sky Striker Hornet Drones because like, why would a Dark Magician deck have, right? From a perspective of someone who like isn't super familiar with like in-depth Dark Magician decks, like why would he ever expect something like this, right? Anyway, all right. So I get my token. So spells are negated. I go into Kagari. At this point, I can now use because I have one Link monster. I can now use Magician's Souls in hand. Get my Dark Magician on the field because I have to attack over Inspector Border, right? And then I go into battle phase, and as soon as I do, here comes the Dogmatica Punishment, which is giga bad for me because with Entis he can now pop 2. So my board is not great. 2 Solemn cards, which at this point don't do anything. Like Inspector Border's on the field, he's just gonna attack me over and over until I die, right? Like, what am I gonna Solemn Strike? But on end phase, he uses Huaquero, and this is just an 1800 attack monster, right? So he has 3800 damage on the field. So at this point, like he doesn't know my back row, but at this point, like he can just attack me. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure at this point, I'm like, yeah, I'm probably gonna lose. I don't see how I get over this board. Oh, so he set his other Inspector Border. So he can flip summon it, I'm guessing. Oh yeah, yeah, and then he'll have enough damage to finish me. Yep. He doesn't want to. I guess he doesn't want to drag this duel any longer than it needs to be. Okay, and then I draw Judgment, which does not help in this situation once again. And then once I see, ooh, he drew Ice Dragon's Prison. Yeah, there was nothing I could do. I just surrendered. Yep, I saw. Yep, that's enough damage to finish me. All right, and then let's go into game 3. So game 3 was interesting because so I choose to go first, obviously. The side deck the side deck decision that I made here was I removed Secret Village of the Spellcasters, and I removed 2 of my Triple Tactics talents, and I put in 3 Rivalry of Warlords. So obviously I did not open Rivalry of Warlords, but why did I do that? So the reason I went with Rivalry of Warlords is because I noticed, okay, he has an Eldlich deck that runs Inspector Border. I mean, Inspector Border is a machine. Eldlich and the corresponding traps are zombies. Like, I don't want to have to deal with both, right? So I figured, like, plus it's like Triple Tactics and Secret Village of Southcasters, they weren't really doing anything in my main deck, right? Because Secret Village, like, it's not going to really stop spells because this deck seems to be mostly traps. I guess he has some pots or whatever. And then, um, yeah, like, Triple Tactics doesn't really do much either because I can't really foresee a situation where he's going to be activating monster effects during my main phase, right? So, yeah. So, Rivalry isn't like the best card against this deck, but at least it does something rather than doing nothing, which was what the cards I exchanged before. Anyway, so this is a God opening. Right off the bat, Rod and Souls is a Dragoon. Soul Servant is already in hand, which means Rod can simply search Circle and grab Eternal Soul / Salvation. I have Illusion Magician to protect my Dragoon from a 3500 attack Eldlich, and I have a Solemn Judgment. Like, what more can I ask for? This was a pretty nice opening. Alright, so inspect, Rod searches Circle, dump Dark Magician Girl, summon the field, make Anaconda, make Dragoon. So at this point, yeah, so play Circle, make sure you play Circle and chain Soul Servant. Yeah, always do that. So I look at the top 3 cards. Yeah, obviously put Salvation on top. Add it to hand, and at this point, I'm gonna banish Soul Servant to draw 2 before I do Salvation. So this is important. So I'll show you why. Okay. So this draw 2 gave me Cyclone and Souls, right? So Dark Magical Circle allowed me to see that these were on top of my deck, right? So the cool thing about Salvation is like the fact that it sets Eternal Soul from your deck and shuffles your deck means that if you play Dark Magical Circle and you don't like the cards that are on top of your deck, uh, you can just use Salvation to force your deck to shuffle, and then draw 2, and hopefully you get cards that were better than the ones that you saw. In this case, I banished Soul Servant before playing Salvation. Why? Because I like these 2 cards on top of my deck. Why? Because I know I'm against a back row deck going first. Cosmic Cyclone is great because he'll set 4, set 5, or whatever pass, and Cyclone will immediately snipe one of his back rows. Also, Cyclone can be used to take out Imperial Order, right? And then I also saw I had Magician's Souls, which I also wanted to add to hand because, just in case my Eternal Soul gets taken out or whatever, Magician's Souls can summon Dark Magician, and I'll get another banish. So I don't know, it's just good follow-up. I feel like these cards were worth keeping, and rather than shuffling my deck with Salvation and then drawing 2 random cards. All right, so play Salvation, set Soul, and set my back row. All right, so let's see what he does. So yeah, opens up. All right, so this is funny. So the two cards that he drew from that prosperity, or sorry, not prosperity, extravagance, Lava Golem and Solemn Strike. Right, he did not have these cards in his hand before, um, which is pretty hilarious because I'm sure like before he drew these, he probably would have thought, oh, my hand is kind of whack a little bit, right? Because like Judgment that will do nothing against my board at this point, like because he knows I'm gonna open Soul Servants. I guess it's like at this point in his perspective, Judgment is only good at stopping like my judgments or whatever. But like Torrential Tribute's not gonna do anything against Dark Magician. So yeah, this was a pretty weak hand, and then Pot of Extravagance suddenly made it like way better, right? Um, so yeah, I did not expect a Lava Golem, but here it is, right? Another cool thing about I told you I sided in Rivalry of Warlords. Like, in my back profile video, like I told you, if you have, one second, if you have Rivalry of Warlords on the field, then you can basically like defend your board from Kaiju's and also Lava Golem, right? Because Lava Golem's a fiend. Like if I had Rivalry, like he would not be able to do that. Not only because Anaconda wouldn't be on the field, but also like if I have a spellcaster, he cannot give a fiend to my field. Anyway, yeah, sorry, that was a random phone call. All right. Anyway, all right. So set 5. So he held Torrential Tribute, and I guess the reason he did that is because he knows that Torrential Tribute will really do nothing if I revive Dark Magician with Eternal Soul, right? Because Dark Magician is unaffected by, whereas the Solemn cards absolutely should be set, right? These are good. And then these 3 are like the whole Eldlich package, right? Um, Elixir brings out his Eldlich. Conquistador allows him to pop a face up so he can take out Eternal Soul or Dark Magical Circle. And Huaquero allows him to banish like Dark Magician from my graveyard, for example. Yeah, so yeah, I can see why he held Torrential Tribute. Anyway, yeah, so we're in the end phase now, and alright, so in end phase, I have Souls, Dark Magic Circle plus Cyclone. At this point, I'm gonna try to snipe 2 of his traps. Trap decks usually run very like high impact traps, and if you're going first against them, like after they set and during the end phase, try to snipe as many of them as you can because otherwise, like some of them might be chainable to your back row clear. So yeah, this is the time to do it. So I got Magician, and in this case, so here's the triggers: uh, Dark Magical Sword Chainlink 1, and then Salvation Chainlink 2, and then I also have Cosmic Cyclone. So in this case, I decide like these are the 2 that I decide. I thought, okay, I have two banishes. I'm gonna go for the middle card and a side card because I think, oh, maybe like at least one of these is probably a good card, right? Um, so actually, it turns out that um, so hitting Judgment was good. I would have preferred to hit Strike, obviously, but hitting the Elixir means that these other 2 cards are way less impact, right? Conquistador and Huaquero. It's not as like without the Eldlich, like these are gonna be way less impact. Like he's gonna be. I mean, these are basically just like bodies to block from damage, and then on the following turn he can get another elixir. So these are decent snipes. Not the best, but definitely pretty good. All right, so I get my field, get my rod back. So at this point, I bring Dark Magician in because I want to snipe another card. So at this point, I try the other side one, and it is Solemn Strike, which in this case, like, probably wouldn't have mattered much because at this point, I'm thinking, okay, I don't really need to bring back Dragoon. All I need is to just summon a bunch of monsters, just have like 5 monsters on the field and just attack for game. And Solemn Strike would not have really helped them in that scenario either. Like, let's say I summon Rod, I use Souls to summon another Dark Magician. Like, well, he Solemn Strikes the Souls, and then like he still takes 1500 damage. I don't know. It's just, I guess in this case, like Strike wouldn't have helped him that much, right? Like, so even if I didn't snipe this, um, like I don't think Strike would have saved him at this point. Alright, yeah, so I take the 1000 from Lava Golem. Yeah, I grab Soul Servant. So I go into attack mode. So at this point, I go into battle phase. But one thing I just wanted to mention, so when I grabbed the Soul Servant, what I was thinking of grabbing was Secrets of Dark Magic, because Secrets of Dark Magic is a quick play fusion I can use in the battle phase, right? But the reason I didn't do that is because I still wasn't sure what these 2 cards of his were, right? I didn't want to risk like using Secrets of Dark Magic prematurely, or like bringing out a fusion monster like right away. Like, yeah, I could have gone, if I grab Secrets of Dark Magic, I could have linked Dark Magician into Imduck, and then Secrets makes another Dragoon, right? Like, I could have made, Rod, I could have linked Rod and Lava Golem away into Anaconda, made another Dragoon. I have the ability to get Dragoons and like stronger monsters out, but because he's a trap deck, I feel like, I'm just gonna like just attack for game, right? Like, if you don't have to make plays to win, then like, don't. Just be conservative, right? Because you never know like what could happen. So yeah, at this point, like, and the reason I was like, okay, summoning like another Dark Magician, because like, well, Eternal Soul protects this, right? Like, I mean, I guess he could still do like if he had like a Dogmatic Punishment, to try to pop Eternal Soul. I have Judgment as backup, right? Um, yeah, so I thought, okay, I have 5 monsters. I think I'm just gonna attack him for game, and then I can make plays later. So let's see what happens. So I attack. He uses Conquistador to a body block Rod. I use Dark Magician Girl. Dark Magician attacks, gets blocked by Huaquero. So Lava Golem attacks. Dark Magician attacks. Alright, so at this point I go into mid phase 2. Now that his board is clear, I feel like I can make plays. So get Celine, get Anaconda. Celine will revive the Dead Dragoon. I'll grab Secrets of Dark Magic. Another card, Upstart Goblin into Eagle Booster, and then Anaconda makes my second Dragoon. So at this point I have like Judgment, Rivalry of Warlords, 2 discard fodders for Dragoon, and I also have like Apprentice's Illusion Magician for the extra attack if I need it, right? So at this point, as soon as he draws, in the draw phase, I flip Rivalry and to send Anaconda. The reason I do that is because like I'm at 2,000 life points. Anaconda is a 500 attack. If he manages to get Eldlich on the field, attacks Anaconda, I lose, right? But also, like, let's say he top decks another Lava Golem, then Rivalry will protect. Like, he won't be able to summon Lava Golem because of Rivalry. Because I have spellcasters, he cannot give me a Fiend, right? All right. So at this point, he's pretty screwed. Like, honestly, yeah, I didn't know what his cards were before, but yeah, Judgment and Turn Tribute doesn't really help here. He gets his Elixir. Yeah, so the reason in this case, the reason I targeted this leftmost card is because I thought that there was a possibility that this could have been Infinite Impermanence or that other card, Broken Line, which is used in a lot of trap decks. So I figured, oh, let's just remove the card from this column. Especially since last time I went for the other column, I thought maybe like he would put a more important card on the left. Whatever. Like, it's. I mean, I guess at this point it doesn't matter what I banish. Like, I'm still gonna win. Yeah, and this game is over. Like, he can set uh, another elixir. Yeah, so this was a god tier top deck right here. I mean, I could have won even if I didn't top deck my Harpies, but the fact that I did just like ended it. He tries to, bring out Eldlich, but at this point I know no cards in hand. Harpies is going to clear his board. Yeah, at this point, yes, I'll definitely negate, especially since I have another Dragoon negate. So, all right. So yeah, I won two out of three games, lost one against a back row deck. Um, yeah, the Lava Golem was definitely unexpected. But I guess it makes sense. Like Eldlich doesn't really need their normal summon, right? Well, I guess he had a Dogmatic of Punishment, so maybe he does run Ecclesia. Um, Either way, like Ecclesia can be special summoned. So actually, I think I can click. Can I click his deck to look at it? Oh, it's too late. It's okay. I can look at his deck later. But yeah, so there's a showcase of, my deck profile against a back row deck. Clearly, I'm able to win. Maybe you could argue, oh, I got lucky that I won the dice roll and went first in game one. It is the case that, like, if you're a control deck and you go first, you're at a severe advantage over, like, a deck, especially a control deck that goes second. So maybe you could argue, like, if I had lost the dice roll, maybe I would have lost anyway. Like I would have lost the whole series. But I do want to say that my guess is that Lava Golem and Inspector Border are in his side deck, not his main deck. Actually, you know what? We can check that. If we go to game one and we pause, we can actually look at the deck, his deck, right? All right, so let's see. Okay. Oh, he's running Duality. I guess that makes sense because uh, no anti-synergy with Extravagance, and you don't really need a special summon. Like Ellis does not need a special summon on their own turn. Okay. Yep. Skill drain. Okay. So he's running two Eldliches. Ecclesia. Okay, so I was right about that. Yep. Ice Dragon's Prison. Trap Trick. Yeah. So no Lava Golems or Inspector Borders, right? Honestly, like those Lava Golem and Inspector Border might have been his two most high impact cards. So I don't know if he did have it in his side deck, which means well, I guess it could be a she, but they probably, yeah, definitely had in their side deck. Um, I'm curious about this extra deck. Okay, standard punishment targets. Ooh, spicy Xyz and okay, so yeah, most of this is just like, yeah, whatever. The extra deck is not as important in this matchup. But yeah, no Inspector Border or Lava Golem in the main deck means even if I went second in game one, I probably would have been okay, right? Because he would not have been able to lock me down with Inspector Border. I guess he does have Imperial Order, which could have screwed me. Um, and then Skill Drain isn't it? But it's like a one of, right? So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, going first, significant advantage in Yu-Gi-Oh! Especially when it's like a control deck matchup. Like your control deck, you'd absolutely want to go first. So anyway, yep. So let me know if I made any major mistakes. I'd say the only thing I would say, which wasn't really a mistake, was like in game three, I did play conservatively at one point, like in the second turn, when I did not search Secrets of Dark Magic. Right, like I probably could have OTK'd him. Alright, so I'll get to the point where that I'm talking about. Okay, so here comes the Lava Golem. Here's why it's important to have Circle, and Soul's like, oh, they get rid of your Dragoon, you still have plays to make on their turn, right? Yeah, so right here. So I go into the battle phase when I could have gone Soul Servant into Secrets of Dark Magic to like just ensure that I get the OTK. Because like worst case scenario, well maybe not like like least best case scenario is like him having his Eldlich monsters. I kill them, and then I get an extra attack using Secrets of Dark Magic, fusing like whatever Dark Magician goes to the Dark Magicians, or I could have gone I'm Duck here, and then another Dragoon. So, um, and I would have had a negate against yeah. So maybe I could have OTK'd him, but I was playing a little cautiously. I didn't want to like throw down everything I had all at once because I wasn't sure what his back row was, right? So I thought that yeah, this was yeah. So I wouldn't call this a mistake, just like me playing cautiously. Yeah, I know I had a judgment, but he has two back rows, right? Versus my one. Um, so yeah. Anyway, that's all. Hope y'all enjoyed this game and maybe hopefully you learned something. But yeah, very important to always be patient with your negates. And not never shotgun them, and also like know when to negate, like in terms of in the matchup, like when Eldlich is in the graveyard, you definitely don't want to use your negate unless he's gonna his 3500 attack is gonna kill your Dragoon. Most of the time, you just want to banish him with Circle instead, or in the case of game one, Called by the Grave, right? Because a banished Eldlich is way more is like severely hinders their deck. Really banishing any back row like severely hinders it, especially their Eldritch traps, because then they can't use their graveyard effects. Anyway, all right. Okay. I'll try to bring some more matchups for y'all, either on from EDOPro or Dueling Book. I prefer EDOPro simply because like it's faster. I can play more games in EDOPro, right? Than Dueling Book, because Dueling Book like is you have to stop and like talk and do all this stuff, whereas EDO Pro is like super streamlined. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought. Like if maybe in the comments like say the Dueling Book replay was better, or like the EDO replay was better. Like maybe learn, yeah, let me know if you have a preference. But um, if not, I'll probably mostly play on EDO Pro and like make replays from that. Okay. Anyway, take care.